Hi everyone, welcome to Third Coast Gaming Radio. Today is May 26th. It is episode 29. I'm joined by my co-host, Austin Taylor. Hello, how are you?
Hello.
What's going on?
Oh, nothing much.
Nothing much. Just hanging
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, trying to hang out, as the kids say.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like I was working towards a bit here and it didn't
it
happen.
it fell down, but that's okay. I have no bit. I'm here to tell you I've got some news, Austin. What if Valve made a portable gaming PC? It'd probably be a really smart idea.
I mean, that's a choice.
I think it'd be a good idea. If they made something like a Switch, man,
I
it'd
mean,
be pretty cool.
the thing is like we would need to look at the success of something like I think it was like one of like the first of these was like the Razer Edge. Um, which was supposed to be that kind of thing. And like we need to look at like those kind of sales figures. Um, and this is a book, The Razor's Edge, which is not what I was looking for. But that's like a product that came out in or was being advertised in like 2012. Um, Now I'm not entirely sure if like I'd be particularly interested in like a mobile like Switch-esque portable PC from Valve.
You know, I also forgot they were trying to make a Steam box too, and I don't
Yeah,
think
those
that ever came
also.
out.
No, they did.
They did?
Yeah, they just didn't last.
Yeah. Um, I don't think they came out. I have to look this up for a second. But I think Steam definitely has the pool to like make a portable like Steam thing like that very successful.
I mean, yeah, like they have the marketplace. What I don't know, at least what I don't necessarily, what I'm kind of skeptical of is whether or not like the price point for this is going to be like enticing and like what performance this like games on this will actually have. Like whether or not the people who like frequent Steam as a service are particularly interested in that kind of thing.
Yeah, they would definitely have to put it out and see what happens. They'd have to. I feel like the price point would have to be at least competitive with the Switch. Between, I don't know. I This is probably a thing that's when they say portable console. This is probably not a thing that's going to dock either. It's probably just going to be like. I'm guessing it's going to be like the Switch Lite. It'd be cool if you could do something like that where you could throw it in a dock and do that, but it'll probably just be like straight up a portable. So maybe between 200 and 300, unless they're going for some other stuff. But
I mean,
in this
sure,
day
you
and
make that.
age of nobody being able to get a PS5 or an Xbox, I would wonder when this would come out and if that problem would be fixed.
I mean, like that price point is like a real low ball that I don't think is realistic.
Yeah, you know,
Like if you want this thing to run like games like that you find on a PC, uh, on like like an 800, like 700, $800 PC, like that needs to be significantly like higher.
yeah, and as the price kind of goes up on that, you can kind of see like not as many people, like your install base going lower. You know, wow,
Yeah.
this I'm looking at this news article for one of them talking about it. Man, there's a GDP Windows portable console that's $1,000. It's an NVIDIA Tegra X1. I remember that thing. Yeah, I don't think this. I don't know if the Steam Machine ever came out. I'm trying to.
The Alienware brand of the Steam Machine was a product that you could buy.
Yeah.
like they've been discontinued,
Huh.
but you could at one point buy the Alienware Steam machine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it totally came out. Okay. Did it come out? Oh, I remember the Steam Link things you could get on sale for like $10 at some point. I have to sneeze really
Yeah,
fast. Oh, that
yeah.
thing.
Well, and the Steam Link was just
That one.
like
Sorry,
streaming.
what?
All the Steam Link was like streaming games from your PC to like another like basically your television.
Yeah.
Like that's what the Steam Link was. I almost almost got one of those during their like closing sale as they were ending production, but that package got stolen.
Oh no. F in the chats.
Yeah, they refunded my money though, so
That's
it's
good.
fine.
Oh, that thing was about the same price as a PS4, the Steam machine. It was like 400 to 600. I guess you could get one with more hard
Yeah, like
drive and
yeah, you get ones with more
more
power,
power.
like more power. Um, you get all right. Like that was kind of the selling point, right? Was like you can like get varying performances out of these boxes. And like I like when they were coming out, I thought that was cool. I thought that was cool, like that was something I was genuinely excited about. But I have a friend who had been like PC gaming for a while, and he said this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. These like things like you buy those, like that's the package, right? Like sort of the appeal to a PC is like you can update it every so often.
Yeah. Whereas this, you just got a box. Like,
Yeah, you just
much
got a
like other
box that
boxes.
like support for it kind of just went away.
Yeah, so this came out in 2015. Yeah, and it only, according to Wikipedia, I don't know where they got the sales numbers from, but it only sold like 500,000. I'm curious if the market will be a little different. I don't know. Like you said, there might not be a real taste for a portable
I
gaming
mean,
PC, but it could be. Who knows? That
not one like as like it's certainly not going to reach like Switch numbers. I don't think it's going to get anywhere near like Switch numbers, but
No, but Steam definitely has the money to give it a shot. At least,
yeah, like Steam
fuck
has
it.
probably has like the pull and resources to like try it. I am very skeptical of like the like sort of the not validity. The sort of how long this will go. Like how well will this be supported? And like can I expect like to have this for a few months before she's like, oh, we're gonna quit this now because this hasn't done the numbers we
It's
want
just
it to.
gonna go the Stadia route. Big marketing push in the first 6 months, and then you don't hear anything about it after that, except for jokes.
And then the shutdown of all internal studios.
Yeah, that as well. That as well. All right. To things that are more interesting to me, at least, is yo, what if there's a Final Fantasy spinoff that was like a Souls like? There's some rumor going around. Could be called Final Fantasy Origin. Seems really cool. I'd be into that. A Souls game with like the Final Fantasy setting and like music. I'd be there for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, this sort of marketing there's like, according to rumors, Final Fantasy Origin is supposed to take place in the same universe as like the first Final Fantasy game. Uh,
That'd be pretty cool.
which I don't like. I don't have any like real familiarity with like the first Final Fantasy game, so I don't know if that's a
Well,
cool like
Austin, in Final Fantasy One,
appealing
there's the
thing.
Black Knight and the Red Knight, the Red Mage and the Black Mage, and
That's just every Final Fantasy.
yeah, I think those might have been the characters' names in the first game.
Yeah, so they were just like their job titles.
Yeah, they didn't have names. Let's see what Google
Yeah, and
says.
like
I'm trying to remember if that's actually true or not. What's up?
yeah, so I don't know, like that seems interesting. I don't I don't know if like I mean the game if the gameplay's there like that'll be fun, but I don't know if like I'll be that into a Final Fantasy like Square Enix produced Souls-like.
Yeah, it said it might be Team Ninja, who are
Mm.
division of Koei. They were doing the Neo stuff. People really like those Neo games, so it could be really cool. They
I mean,
they
Neo
did
is
those
just
Dissidia stuff too. Forgot about that. What?
yeah. So like this is like yeah, like supposedly mostly being handled by the team who did Dissidia, and like I haven't touched Dissidia, but like as far as Neo, I don't know. I was not a big fan of Neo 1. I haven't touched 2.
I have some friends who are like diehard Neo people, and I've heard like good things about the combat. So I feel like they've done two of them, so they've got the experience for it at least.
I just like when I sort of examine the Neo flavor of like Souls-like combat, I find it like far too. I think quick might be the word for me to describe like what I didn't like about Neo's combat. It's like it's far too quick, and for my taste, like a bit too punishing.
Yeah, I stopped playing Souls games after Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2. So I haven't fucked around with it, but this could be something that could bring me
Yeah, well, I
back.
mean, the aim here is to make this be more accessible to like like the general audience, right?
Yeah, Final Fantasy Endwalker is at that 14. Yeah, it's that Final Fantasy 14 thing coming in
Yeah,
2021.
expansion.
Oh, I keep thinking about just playing some Final Fantasy 14, and then I'm like, I don't even know where I would start.
I don't know, the free trial
Ha 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 ha.
that lets you
Um,
play to like I think level 60 and the first expansion,
he,
but
yeah, I tried it a little bit. There's a lot of people in the servers. It hurt my brain. Um,
oh yeah, it's far too many people. And then you get into things like the like housing scarcity that exists in Final Fantasy 14. It's just I could never.
some
Yeah,
politics
like
coming into fucking Final Fantasy
well, I
14.
mean, no, it's just like how they've set up housing
Yeah,
is um like you have there's limited space. At least that was my understanding of it. At least when I was told about Final Fantasy, and this was a couple of years, like Final Fantasy 14, this was a couple of years ago. But they have limited space on a server for houses and player housing. And I remember having a friend who would just sit in like a bidding chat or something and would wait to just try to throw money at a house that I think he got at some point, but that was a while ago.
yeah. According to this leaker who was talking about this Souls Final Fantasy game, is there's another major Final Fantasy announcement. Maybe the E3 time for them to talk about stuff. I don't know what that would be. It's just another Final Fantasy VII remake spinoff.
It'll be like the sequel to World of Final Fantasy.
Oh yeah, those chibi Final
Yeah,
Fantasy.
the
Jesus
cute little
Christ.
chibi Final Fantasy that like absolutely just put me to sleep when
Yeah,
I played that demo.
I didn't give them my money for that. You know, I feel like as a person who's in the Final Fantasy like fans heads, I feel like the next remake is either going to be 6 for like the people in the Super Nintendo like who love that era, or it's just going to be 10 again. 10 3 again, or just
10 but
Final Fantasy
pretty.
10 remake.
Well no, 10 looks good. 10 already looks good with the
Yeah,
HD.
but I would do the combat like thing that 7 remake did, but for 10.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing, right? Like they could just get away with inserting that ATB combat system into a lot of remakes and people would be down for it.
Yeah, like that combat system has made me like the like from 15 to that is like the combat in 15 is not anything to write home about. Like it's does the
I mean, there's
job
no
of you being
way.
in the open world, but it doesn't go past that. Like it's not exciting in any way,
Yeah, like like that combat in 15 is so bad at I think really God, words keep escaping me today. Sort of like making you feel like you are in any sort of peril at any given point in time until you're fighting just a really big thing.
And even those really big things, like, when it gets dark. So when it gets dark in Final Fantasy 15, a bunch of demons will come out of the ground. And I fought one of those
Yeah,
that was like 15, 20 levels above me and murdered it. Because you can just spam
yeah,
healing your party, and it just
yeah.
doesn't.
It's just sort of like
Yeah.
the weightiness of. Well, I mean, there is no weightiness that exists within like 15's combat. Um, and so it just becomes a chore like really quickly.
Yeah. But also now I could totally play some more of that game. That game's
It's
world
just good.
makes it like makes me want to stay in there. But well, the thing that 7 remake did so well was that it just lets you control your other party members and set up like their abilities. Like you can use their abilities on the fly and you can pause combat. They could do that with any Final Fantasy and I'd be in. They did it. Boom. I have a question for you. I was in
Yeah.
a Facebook comment page for an ad for Outriders, and some guy was talking about how he thought Square Enix is like um, just putting out the same shit over and over again and then slapping their name on other games. Do you think they should make other stuff besides Final Fantasy, or are they just different enough to where it's like, oh, these are actually new games? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm not the person to ask this, but like Final Fantasy is like you're gonna keep publishing in Final Fantasy V's, like that is a name that you have for your RPG staple, that a suit that like gives it some sort of, these games as they come out, like some sort of, I don't want to say credibility, but promise of like this like specific like a type of adventure, right? Um like I don't have any like strong opinions about, should they like make new IP? I mean, yeah, I mean they can. It hasn't necessarily gone that well for them in a good handful of instances. You think about like I remember, no, no, that's actually Capcom. Like I was gonna go to some Dote Nod stuff, but yeah, like Life is Strange, like that first season had a lot of interest, and then Life is Strange 2 didn't generate that much interest for whatever reason, probably
Yeah.
because of its release schedule. Um,
And I guess the only
it's,
some of the newer IPs I can think of is like Octopath Traveler, which I don't know if that was pitched by one of the Square Enix like business divisions or came out from like someone before that. And then
yeah,
like Kingdom Hearts in 2000.
yeah, and they're actively trying to diversify like their catalog. Like you have Octopath Traveler, and then you get like later these sort of, or what's going to be coming out at some point, that sort of Project Tactics, Trifold Tactics, I think is the name of that project currently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to find ways to do new stuff.
Oh, they did Last
Um,
Remnant in fucking 2009 as well. There's another game by them.
yeah, so I don't have any particularly strong opinions about like the state of Square Enix in this current moment. They are still like the company that is like during E3 presentations, I am mostly like zoned out if I have their stream on.
Yeah, most of this, like the only excitement I had was like, oh yeah, this Final Fantasy 16. I think that was in the Sony
That was in the
thing.
PS5 reveal.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there you go. But yeah, I was just thinking about that because I got in some like some idiot on the internet. Let's see. Going on is IGN takes down the articles and tweets sharing the Palestine aid groups, and I think Game Informer was going through some of this
Yeah.
stuff as well. If you want to go over this, I don't think I read too
Yeah.
much into this.
So this was like last week. Um, After, like, I don't want to say like directly in response to, but like at some point last week, a GameSpot editor, Tamar Hussein, posts a video kind of like chiding the video game industry's lack of support for like the suffering that like Palestinian people are going through right now as like a new wave of violence between uh, the sort of Palestinian residents of the West Bank and Gaza Strip and the Israeli government heats up again because the Israeli government is forcibly removing Palestinian people from their homes so they can put settlers in there. So they have like this period of violent disposition, and then in response, you have the air quote terrorist group Hamas launching rocket attacks into um, Israeli occupied territory, and in response to that, you then have the Israeli government launching strategic missile strikes to residential areas in the West Bank and Gaza, leaving about a couple of hundred Palestinian people dead. 66 of those are children, and so that sort of prompts Hussein to post this video, and I don't want to say in direct response to that again, but there is like a clear like sort of line that you can draw because in the following days you have groups like IGN, GameSpot, and Game Informer putting up articles promoting like Palestinian aid groups, and
Yeah.
these aren't like particularly controversial organizations either. Like they're organizations like Doctors Without Borders, right? Um, these aren't like, yo, give Hamas your money. Um, and in the days following that, IGN's article is taken down. Game Informer's article is taken down. The GameSpot article is still up. And like there is just radio silence on like the socials for IGN and Game Informer
Yeah, and I remember the
for a
IGN
while.
thing had happened where they took that down overnight and then sent an email about it, like at midnight or something, telling their staff that they had taken them down and stuff, which that's
Yeah,
kind of
that was
wild.
so that was taken down by their sort of corporate executives overnight, so that way there wouldn't be like an immediate backlash from your employees. Um, the only response that we've seen from like Game Informer was one of their reporters, Liliana Rupert, sort of in the wake of their article being taken down, tweeted, "We're trying," right? And I imagine that they have a bit of a tougher time talking to their executives about it because they are owned by GameStop, um, whereas IGN is owned by
Is it?
J2 Global
Yeah.
and Ziff Davis. And so for a couple of days, you have this really like sort of like weird silence from like IGN reporters and editors. And in the wake of meetings, like internal meetings that didn't really explain much to the IGN staff because they were described as being pissed as they walked away from these like kind of useless meetings with corporate leadership. Um, you get another like sort of statement being pushed out on IGN social, which is the sort of we didn't like which definitely like wasn't seemingly wasn't written by anyone, like any editor or reporter, but it is basically saying like we didn't want to take a side here, even though we really didn't with the initial bit. And in response to like that social media post, you get an open letter from IGN staff to their leadership that basically calls out their leadership for violating their editorial independence.
Yeah, well, most stories, I'm sure the staff were writing are like, games journals and stuff. They are still journalists and they're still, like, don't want stuff that they post to be pulled for, like, stuff like that. It goes against that.
Oh yeah, and this isn't like the only time. This is not a like the only time that IGN has published like advocate like articles like this, right? Like they did this in the wake of the protest to police brutality that had like, sort of went across America last year. They did this to during the period where the Stop Asian Hate movement was really picking up. Um, Earlier this year and late last year, like they've released several articles about um, aid and sort of pushing for advocacy work and sharing links to charities. So this was like another one of these. But because we have sort of, see, over the past couple of decades, have kind of tricked ourselves into thinking that like the situation between Israel and Palestine is very complex. It's really not. It's a pretty cut and dry sort of example of settler colonial like violence that corporate leaders are like too are we're very nervous about this as opposed to supporting like Black Lives Matter and the AAPI movement. And this hasn't been resolved. I should know. Like these like articles are still down. IGN staff would like to republish these, but these articles are still down on both IGN and Game Informer.
Yeah. So, shit really sucks. People can if people look up Palestinian aid, I'm sure there are places they can go to donate if they'd like. I know Kind of Funny has been running a lot of streams to send aid as well. I don't remember what the numbers were, but they were hitting some good milestones. I think they were doing stuff with I don't remember if they were doing stuff with two more, but I know they were like retweeting each other on Twitter and all that.
Yeah, yeah, I'm reading some of the Kind of Funny stuff, and like the GameSpot article is still up. Um, the GameSpot article titled uh, help Palestinian civilians in need by donating to charity," and that features like I don't know if it's the same, but like a lot of the same charities, such as like Palestinian Children's Relief
Mm-hmm.
Fund, Doctors Without Borders, UN Relief and Works Agency, Muslim Relief, and then like a further reading section.
Yeah, and like like even the Biden administration, like they got to put together like $235 million worth of aid to try and help, and that was in April. So like, I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, but like
I don't know.
we're also sending a lot of military like funding to Israel.
Oh, we are. I don't know
Yeah, like we
much about
we as the
that.
United States are complacent in the
Mm,
violence perpetrated by Israeli government and settlers who are violently displacing Palestinian people.
yeah. Let's see. What's this other one we got? Is that there's another thing that was going on was the Ubisoft CEO. I think it's Yves Guillemot says considerable
Yves,
Guillemot.
it's not you say Yeet Gilbot?
I say Yves Guillemot.
Okay, okay. I think my mic cut
Oh
out
yeah.
and I
He
heard Yeet
said
Gilbot.
considerable progress has been made since abuse allegations, but there's some sources who are talking to Le Telegram, which is a French publication,
Yeah,
and they were saying this. I think this was something they were talking about some issues that had been sidelined in like December 2020, and that not a lot has changed actually. So,
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
Ubisoft still doing shitty stuff as it turns out.
yeah. Like this, I don't know. It's weird because what you have is a fundamental disconnect here in the Ubisoft stuff between like the progress that Guillemot is seeing and the progress that people like within Ubisoft, like on these sort of like workers within Ubisoft are seeing, right? Because Yves sees like new hires and required training and thinks that these are significant steps in the right direction. And they are steps. Uh, but like they're closer to like the waddles of a baby more so than like the steps that you need to be making in order to enact any sort of significant change or like reconciliation with the people who do not feel safe at your company. Um, and like use statement is specifically like made a week after like the Le Telegram piece that was published earlier this month reaches like sort of felt like outside publication in like a let's say like the 18th, right, which is when other like media outlets begin like reporting on what like Le Telegram had found, and what they found is not a lot. Not a lot has changed for people who are like on the ground in Ubisoft.
Yeah, so I hope these emails get bundled up and sent to the people at the top of Ubisoft stuff so that they know that people are talking about it, and that I hope things change a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not particularly confident in that as any sort of significant step, right? Because like what we get with this report on like the minimum changes they've made, you have employees who basically are saying that like we can't get anything done really because management either isn't talking to us or the HR department, which did not do its job here. Well, arguably did its job here, considering that HR is really just there to protect management in most instances, like did not protect its workers. I don't know if like appealing to management harder is going to be the thing that's going to get Ubisoft to change significantly, and I don't have any real confidence in current leadership, and I don't think anyone should.
Yeah, yeah. The only thing I can see is like if stuff like, if stories like this kind of keep coming out, you take it. I hope the shareholders like take a look at it and kind of like put pressure on them. But who knows? That stuff usually never happens, but it could. I'm hopeful.
I mean, it's only going to come if like, and I don't necessarily want to openly be like, we need to boycott Ubisoft, right? That was something that also was happening like last weekend in response to the Telegram piece, right? Is you get a hashtag like hold Ubisoft accountable trending, which is just people calling for a boycott. And I don't know if I like it's pretty complicated with games industry stuff, right? Because that's gonna hurt the people at the bottom before it even touches the people up top
Yeah,
in
and
a real way.
people put a lot of hard work into these games, and there are a lot of people who like Ubisoft games. Like, I think they did
Yeah.
the studio who did Watch Dogs 2 did a really good job with that, and like I enjoy Far Cry sometimes, and The Division. So I don't know,
Yeah.
it's rough.
Yeah, like the people at Ubisoft are like proud of their work, you know? It's just the environment they're working in is really bad.
Yeah, so that sucks. Things that don't suck as much, that barely even come like close to it. I would. It's just some people it sucks. That Overwatch is changing to a 5v5 game, which I guess this was coming up when they were doing their live streams a couple weeks ago. They were talking about how they were messing around with like 4v4 games and like 7v7 games. So I think they're gonna try the 5v5. There's some people who are like as well boycotting it or like putting up like things for petitions for people to sign. I don't know. Well, it'd be interesting to see how it's like they're changing it to where you used to have two tanks, and now it's just one tank, and then your two healers and your two damage people. I don't know if they'll move some characters around to other
See, this just shows that I
roles
have
and
no
stuff.
idea what Overwatch is about anymore. Because they talk about like this team composition, right? Like new team composition for Overwatch 2 will consist of two damage heroes, two support heroes, and one tank. I'm like, wait, what does that mean? Does that mean like I can only pick a specific hero at some point? Like I have to pick between like a specific field of heroes? Like can I not just be like I want to be a Widowmaker all the time?
Oh yeah, so Overwatch, like normal Overwatch, had some changes where you queue. They have like role queue, which you just pick what type of player you
Yeah.
want to be, and you can switch between those. And then I think their ranked is tied into that. Like their ranked modes only do role queue, and then I think they have like open play where you can switch. But yeah. So they're going to 5v5. So if you're role queuing for a tank, there's only one tank, which is like Diva and Reinhardt, and like I think Roadhog. Is it the big dude?
The big guy with the
Yeah,
pig mask and shotgun?
yeah, Roadhog, and there's a
Yeah,
guy
it's
with
Roadhog.
toes who throws rocks.
Uh,
Some new hero, Toe Dude.
I don't know that one.
But yeah, to answer your question, if you want to play as Widowmaker, yeah, you queue for DPS and then you just pick Widowmaker.
that's a little, I don't know, it's a bit strange to me.
Yeah, League of Legends does it. They started doing it a couple years ago maybe before Overwatch came out, where people would like, because it's hard. Overwatch was weird because people would switch to anything. So you'd have teams where you had like 3 damage, and then like openly switching in like ranked matches was weird. I kind of like that they closed it down and did it to where like, yeah, you're gonna stay
Yeah,
within this type of character set.
yeah. Like, I mean, I imagine this helps like keep track of, things like, the meta of Overwatch and like specializing, like as you like update heroes, specializing them to fit roles better. Um, I just have not touched the hero shooter genre since like I played the beta of Overwatch and was really bad at it, and so I don't understand a lot of how this kind of thing is put together.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of looking at their games and what they want. I don't know if this is like them trying to make their Overwatch League like more understandable, because the director described that like 2 tanks are like, tanks can be problematic and noisy, and Blizzard always tried to make our combat easy to read and very understandable. So I don't know if this is like if this is something that's trying to ease users in, like new people who want to play this game, that maybe 5v5 where there's only like you and 9 other people to kind of like look over instead of 12 total. Just makes it simplifies it, or if it's something that makes like Overwatch League a little different. But I'm curious, as someone who like, I still enjoy playing Overwatch every now and then. That game does something that I don't think like a lot of other shooters do, and like it does it better than other hero shooters, which is like a testament to like the way they do combat and first person stuff. Hi everyone, sorry we had to take a quick pause because I unplugged my microphone and we lost about 10 minutes. But yeah, we were talking about how Overwatch has a certain feel of their guns that are really good. And they do that thing that a lot of other games don't really do on consoles, where there's not a lot of the guns have aim down sights, which is something I think is interesting as well.
Yeah, at least they want to replicate like, hey, like I don't think I like Blizzard is like mainly making this for PC more than anything, and like they also just kind of want to have this arcadey feel to Overwatch. That like works more or
Yeah,
less.
yeah. To some people, some people are really into it. Doesn't grab, didn't grab Austin, but that's okay. I think we've been talking about trying. I can never remember the name of this game. I keep wanting to call it Legions for some reason, but it's Paladins. Hey, we'll see what happens. It's free. That one's free to play compared to Overwatch, and you don't need PS Plus. Let's see. Although we did pause, these PlayStation Plus games for June got announced, which is pretty cool. Star Wars Squadrons is one of them. When did that come? That came out like our first or second episode of this. We were talking about it, so about 6 months ago.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's been like pretty late last year.
so that's cool. And moves to get people to get into their live service games. You make it free on PlayStation, then you start making some money. I guess that's how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have to try, you have to hit the biggest market, and that seemingly is PlayStation right now.
And PlayStation wants these free games too, which works out. So, and the other two are Operation Tango and Virtual Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown. Ultimate Showdown, that game hasn't come out yet, right?
No,
And
this is so yeah, this iteration of Virtua Fighter 5, which has previously been a thing, being released, but like this iteration of Virtua Fighter 5 is like a new remaster from the Yakuza team.
which that's cool. I have enjoyed Virtual Fighter games from like Sorry, I was burping. I've enjoyed these games. I wonder if this was the last one, because this originally came out. It's a PlayStation 3 game in 2008. And then Final Showdown came out in 2010 for. It was like a Game of the Year edition. I wonder if we've had any other Virtual Fighter games since then. Five was the last one. Apparently.
I forgot this was like a franchise like originally helmed by Yu Suzuki.
Helmed by
It was
what?
Yu Suzuki's the Shinmu.
Yu Suzuki. Oh yes. Yes.
Yeah,
They're cool games. You can play as dudes who fight each other.
Yeah,
I think there's a luchador.
Yeah, I love to play as dudes who fight each other.
I remember
That's video games to me.
Yeah. Whenever I went up to the arcades of this, I would pick the lucha. His name's El Blaze, and he has a mask, and his pants have fire on them, and he has no shirt. It's a good time.
Yeah.
I've always confused Virtual Fighter and Tekken, even though I don't think they play too similarly. But I do love Tekken as well. Tekken 7. If I had people to play that with. That used to be the weekend game you hang out with the boys and have a couple beers with in my group of friends. Good times.
I don't think I've had much experience with Virtua Fighter. It always just kind of seemed like a less interesting like Street Fighter to me, but like at the time I was like young and did not like appreciate how very few like fighting games are actually doing like 3D stages as opposed to the 2D that you get in Street Fighter. So I didn't ever really touch Virtua Fighter or Tekken for that matter.
Yeah, and in like the PS2 era, there was like Soul Calibur, Virtual Fighter, and like Tekken all competing for that space.
Yeah.
Which I think Soul Calibur hasn't had one since
Like
it was
6.
6, which was 5 years ago, I think.
Yeah, so it's like that's a current.
Let's see. Can't
like,
confirm.
Yeah,
2018, actually, it was 3 years ago.
Oh, jeez.
The one where you could play as Geralt.
Yeah, that was. I have a lot of friends who thought that would get me into Soul Calibur.
Those games are cool. It was more of a nostalgia trip for me because like you're sitting there on your PS2 or GameCube or Xbox. Xbox had Tekken. Oh my god, their character creators were nightmares too. Horse armor. Yeah. The people who stream the character creator, good for them. Anyway.
Monsters.
Someone made Siri. There we go.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Not a Geralt, you need to make a Siri.
Of course. Let's see, what's the other one? Is that hey, there's some Netflix news that they may or may not be getting into. They want to be the Netflix of games. It could actually just be Netflix. That'd be interesting. I'd wonder if it'd be something that they would roll into their existing service as like, hey, it's $6 extra a month, or it's a different thing. But I think their like catalog of like Netflix has like reinvigorated like companies and like production studios to have like a new avenue to make money, and they do pay them pretty well. Like there's been a bunch of shows coming out from Netflix that are only on Netflix that have a good budget, so I'd be curious what you could see for gaming. And obviously they have gaming properties on Netflix too.
Yeah, but like the thing is like we don't know much about like what this could entail. Like this could be anything from Netflix making like original like games based off their properties to like the equivalent of like maybe slightly more complicated versions of like the Black Mirror Bandersnatch special or Minecraft story mode.
Yeah, and I remember I think it was like in 2019 there was that Stranger Things game.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a
that
Telltale
died.
Stranger Things.
Yeah, and then I think there was a 32 bits whatever like Stranger Things 3 game.
Yeah, there was a Stranger Things like RPG. I think I own it on the Epic Store. but
Yeah,
it's kind of
Stranger
like a
Things
RPG
3, the game.
based off of season of that TV show. Interesting choice.
Yeah, the summer season. So it'd be interesting because they have Resident Evil is coming there. They got the Castlevania stuff. They got Witcher on Netflix. So I don't know. They could like
Yeah, but to what
I
like
could see this in a world to where like I don't know. I know the TV show Witcher and like CD Projekt Red's Witcher are separately, but they could have a deal where it's like, hey, we got The Witcher 3 in our gaming service catalog thing where you can just download it.
yeah, but like that's doesn't make much sense to me. Like and like that being a thing because like what you hit with like Netflix is like they have shows based off of Castlevania, Resident Evil, The Witcher. But like do those properties even fit into like what this games initiative could be? And I don't think they do because you already have like with the exception of Castlevania, you have companies that are making games in those properties.
Yeah, and like I'm sure like that first season of The Witcher came out and copies of that game got sold on Steam. I'm sure they wouldn't need like an advertising push of like, oh, The Witcher season 2 is coming out now. People are gonna pick up the game again. I don't know.
Yeah, but like
Who knows?
Netflix wouldn't. I don't think Netflix would be able to do like a game about The Witcher.
Oh no, I just mean like having Witcher 3 on their thing, like where like what Microsoft has at Game Pass, where they will pay a company to have their game on their service for a set amount of time.
Yes, then that's like them like having to build an entirely new like infrastructure to support like hosting games.
It could be, could be.
I mean, we
I
have no idea what this is.
Yeah, we have no idea what. For me, it would be them building a new app where you download the games, like a Game Pass thing. That would be the ideal. Like if they were wanting this to succeed, I think that would be a smart idea. 'Cause I don't think streaming, unless they like reinvent streaming games. I don't know. Stadia, I've heard things about it
Unless they go
being okay
into
sometimes and not being okay
everyone's home
sometimes.
and give everyone good Wi-Fi.
Yeah, dependent on good Wi-Fi. Because the thing with TV is, it'll scale down quality, which is something you don't want to see in games and stuff when your internet's not as good.
Yeah, but this is I don't know. This is a. I mean, like of course Netflix is always going to like push in this kind of direction at some point. But like now that the sort of inevitability of it is here, it is hard to reconcile like what could this even look like for Netflix?
Yeah, it'd be a good move if they did it right. Let's see. There's this other thing is that we're gonna have a state of play on May 27th with some Horizon Forbidden West information. That's tomorrow, which will be cool.
Yep.
This one still coming out on PS4 as well as PS5, right? I think that's the thing with Forbidden West.
Yeah, it's I mean on the GameSpot page it is listed as like PS5, PS4.
Yeah, so that should be cool. I'm curious what they're gonna do with the sequel. I know they've definitely had like good iterations of like Killzone where they've done things differently. Like I think the PS4 Killzone was like a different direction, different enough of a direction from like the original one. So we'll see.
I mean, that was a Shadowfall?
Yeah, where it
Yeah.
was like more in a city instead of like a war front, where it was like because the war had ended in Killzone 3, and
Yeah,
then it
Shadowfall was
was
you essentially doing like basically being the CIA.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not particularly good. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like I'm hoping for like based off like going back through Horizon pretty recently, I'm hoping that like a lot of some of what we'll see is like better menu interaction. So you're not like constantly pausing combat to switch your litany of weapons out.
yeah, or some better inventory.
Also yes, I do not want a limited inventory in this one.
Yeah. our quickie of the week is that a 20-year-old Xbox Easter egg has been revealed. I guess there was like, if you burn a CD and you call it Timmy with like 26 Ys, which is the max amount of characters on a something
on the title that you can hit.
Yeah, then you'll get a display of names who worked on the dashboard, which that's cool. Oh, there's a picture of this original Xbox, and I kind of regret selling mine to one of my friends from high school.
I think mine's
such a honker.
No longer operational, unfortunately.
Yeah, apparently there's some like batteries in there that will fuck up and like corrode your Xbox if you don't get in there and replace them too.
Yeah.
But I still got my my Halo 1, my Halo 2 disc, which, hey, you can throw those into a 360 and play them.
Oh yeah,
which still the coolest thing about like Xbox, which PS3 did that. Remember, they did that for a year, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna take this PS2 shit out.
We're gonna take this away.
It'll make these
so
consoles
give you
cheaper."
The slimmer PS3, yeah.
Like there are fat PS3s that don't even have the PS2 emulation. There was only like for some, I think it was like they were selling, it was 60 gigabyte PS3s when it first launched. Let me see what, I can't remember what the yeah, I think it was an 80 gigabyte PS3. I remember my friend got one when Metal Gear Solid 4 launched. Good times. Those things were fat fuckers, dude. Oh my god. Oh, okay, yeah, here we go. The PS3 20 gigabyte and the PS3 60 gigabyte were compatible. Those are the big ones. And then they made a 80 gigabyte that was not PS2 compatible. But all the PS3s are PS1 compatible. So there, if you want that,
and
which I do.
And the other thing to note about this this Easter egg, these credits being found on the Xbox dashboard, is that the developer who had sort of sent in a hint or a tip about the information that led to this was not the secret they were talking about.
Oh, wild.
Oh wait, no,
it's
good. Not. It's a different one. Oh. So it's a different developer. So this is
okay.
His name is Blakely, who I think I've seen on Twitter as just being someone who does a lot with like bread.
Yeah.
He makes a lot of bread now, is my understanding of this person. Okay. So like when they reached out to him to ask if that was the Easter egg that he had sort of hinted at back in 2017, he said that was not the Easter egg.
As this article says, it seems the egg hunt can continue. So, hey, get on them. We're gonna... That'll wrap up the episode. We will be back next week for another episode. I'm on Travis23 Doyle on Twitter if you want to find me.
Yeah, and if you just have to find me on Twitter, you can find me at Beardless2, TWL.
Make sure you I was gonna make a joke about something someone could post pictures of on your timeline, but I can't think. I was just gonna say Garrus Vicarian because I read some public tweet.
How about you? You don't need to put Garrus Vicarian.
Yeah, Garrus pictures. Hey, Space Cop pictures. Space Cop Garrus.
Just the worst.
All right, we gotta. Yeah, just the worst. All right, we gotta go. Bye, everybody.